If you're considering selling a property because maybe you got a job relocation, maybe you need more space, or maybe in the unfortunate circumstance you've had someone pass away, or you inherited a property, or maybe you're going through a divorce. Well, either way, this video is for you. I'm often talking about what it means to be a buyer in today's housing market. This video is going to be really geared towards the sellers, those that are looking to sell a property. It seems like it would be a really rosy picture. Since we're still in a seller's market, there's a lack of inventory out there. It should just be a really easy day to be a seller in today's housing market. And for the most part, it is, but there are definitely some downsides, definitely some things that you have to consider if you're considering selling a home in 2023. Now, the seller pool is typically made up of two different types of sellers, those that actually need to sell and those that would like to sell. Those that need to sell might be relocating across the country for a new job. They might have had a death in the family. They can no longer make the payment by themselves, or maybe they're going through a divorce, and in order to pay the spouse, they actually have to sell that property to be able to cash out in order to satisfy that divorce decree, if you will. So those that have to sell are in a little bit different position than those that would like to sell. Those that would like to sell might be selling because they want a different school district for their kids, or maybe they're in a situation like myself where I have 3 growing boys and I'm in a 3-bedroom property that's just under 2,000 square feet. I would like to have more space. I don't have to have more space. So if you're considering selling in this market, you have to understand your position, because ultimately that's going to help you make the best decisions for yourself. Now, before we dive into the bulk of this video, I'd like to take a minute and ask a favor. If you find any value in my videos at all, do me a favor and hit that thumbs up. It helps the algorithm push it out to more people, which ultimately helps me accomplish my goal of helping educate buyers and sellers in today's housing market. Now, I want to start today's video by talking about who should actually stay put, who should not consider selling their current property. Now, counterintuitive to those that want to sell, but who should consider staying put? Well, it's those that don't really need to sell, those that think it would be nice to sell. And the reason I say this is because if you're out there looking at the housing market at the moment, you have 2 dynamics going on. One, in most markets out there, you have a lack of inventory, a lack of available homes to choose from. Now, as a seller, that can be a really, really good thing because it can help you maximize price. It can help you sell the home really quickly. But from my experience, most sellers are also buyers. So if you're a seller who is also a buyer, you have to also factor the end goal in mind. So selling your home is likely to be a rosy picture in many instances, but buying a home is likely to be a catch-22. It's not going to be quite as rosy, if you will, because there's a lack of available options, because interest rates are also high, which is really the second factor I want to talk about. Many people out there, nearly 90% of homeowners, have an interest rate below 5% at the moment. At the time I'm filming this video, mortgage rates are sitting somewhere around 6.5%. So for those that are selling a property, buying another property, they're likely going to be going up in value, right? Because most people, when they sell a home, they buy more home. Very few times do you have people selling a higher price home and reducing the footprint and reducing the price. It's usually the other way around. So in which case, that means you're going to have a higher monthly mortgage payment. You're likely to have higher property taxes on top of a higher purchase price. So all in, your monthly payment is going to be considerably more. If you take me, for example, once again, I'm someone that could use a little bit more space. And for the better part of a year, my wife and I were actively looking at properties. In fact, we're still looking at properties, not as active as we were, but because of where we bought our current home and where our current mortgage payment is now, in order for us to get what we would like to have in a house, what we quote unquote need to have in a house, square footage wise, yard size, school district, everything that we want in a home, location, all of that, our mortgage payment would more than triple per month. And if that doesn't pucker your butt, I don't know what will. Now, for some people out there, that might not be a big deal, but for me, I'm the only income earner in my home. My wife is a stay-at-home mom, which means I'm the only one bringing income into the house. And as many of you guys know, this is a commission-based business. And at the moment, home sales are down considerably year over year. So there's less transactions happening, which in theory means I'm going to end up making less money. So do I want to triple my mortgage payment in an environment where I'm going to end up making less money? And the easy answer is no. So if you're in a position like I'm in, chances are you're likely better off staying put for the foreseeable future until you see a change in the market. Now, the other people that should consider staying put are those that are super, super picky in what they're looking for. And the reason I bring this up is because there's a lack of available inventory out there, right? We have the lowest level of inventory in many markets that we've ever recorded on record, which means if you're looking for something super specific, chances are it's not out there. And chances are if you're looking for it, then there maybe is another person or another 3 or 4 or 5 people looking for that property. So in the instance that one comes up, you've got multiple offers, you've got competition, you're having to pay more for that property than you would otherwise, and in theory, driving the price up. Now, for some people, maybe not a big deal, but if it's not something that you're ready for, something you're prepared for, then chances are this probably isn't the environment for you. And that also goes for those that need to sell a property in order to buy another property, those that would be contingent. And that's largely because it's very competitive on the buying side in many housing markets out there. So it might be really easy to get an offer on your property, but likely a lot more difficult to get a seller on the other side to accept a contingent offer when chances are they've got multiple offers to choose from. So what I would like to say, if you're considering selling a home, these are things that you need to think about before putting your home on the market, if at all. In fact, if you are planning on putting your home on the market, what I would like to ask you to do first is look at the market and see, are there homes out there that fit what you're looking for? And I'm not just saying one home. Are there multiple homes out there that could work? And the reason I say this, again, because it's competitive out there. If you don't have a lot of options to choose from, if you're only seeing one home that fits the bill, chances are it's going to be a competitive situation and you might not end up getting that property. And the last thing you want to do is put your home on the market non-contingent, sell it, and not be able to find a replacement property. And the second thing I would ask you to do is have a conversation with a lender before going through all of these steps, right? Talk to them. Tell them exactly what you're trying to accomplish, the purchase range that you're wanting to be in, how much equity you're going to have, selling your home, or how much cash you have to put down, and figure out what your monthly payment's going to be. Are you okay with that monthly payment? There's a lot of people out there that don't realize how much the increase in interest rates has actually affected their monthly mortgage payment. And it's super important to know so that ultimately you're not wasting your time by going through the process out there looking at property, getting emotionally involved when logically it doesn't make sense because the payment is just too far out of reach, or just in my case, something I don't want to take on. Now, with all of that, there are some pros to selling in today's market as well as some cons, and I want to talk about both of those right now. The pros in today's market are it's a seller's market. So if you're a seller that has to sell for one reason or another, maybe you inherited a property, maybe you have family members that own a property together, you're looking to sell it, it's a great market to sell a property in many markets out there. Now, something I haven't mentioned in this video is that real estate's local. So depending on the market that you're in, it might be a little bit more competitive. It might be less competitive. You might have multiple offer situations in one market versus very few buyers buying in another market. So just make sure you understand your market. I'm taking this approach from Southern California in the market that I'm in. And as a professional real estate agent for over 20 years, I often network with agents across the country in different markets. And most of those markets are seeing a market similar to our market, but maybe you're not. So just understand your market before you get too far into the process. The second thing to note is if your home is priced correctly, it's likely going to sell at that price, potentially even higher than that. In fact, what I've seen more so than anything else is homes that are priced below what the market would actually bear are the ones that are seeing the most activity. They're seeing multiple offers. In fact, they're usually selling for more than the home would have otherwise if it had priced itself correctly because it generates so much activity. As we all know out there, exposure drives demand, demand drives price. How do you get exposure on a property? You list it below what it's actually worth. That gets the exposure, which creates the demand. Once you get the demand on it, people fall in love with it, they drive the price up. So if you're considering selling a property out there, look at the market. Price your home accordingly. Unfortunately, I've got sellers in my life at the moment that have homes priced too high that aren't selling. And it's because they're not getting the demand. They're not getting the activity that they would have otherwise if they were priced correctly. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, as a seller, you're trying to not only maximize price, but you're trying to maximize time as well. And by selling in the current environment, you're likely to be able to take advantage of both if you price your home accordingly. But with that said, there's also cons, which we've talked about several times in this video. It is very competitive out there, which usually means multiple offer situations, especially in lower price points. If you're in a market that has homes priced below the current median home price, chances are those homes are going to be very, very competitive, going to get a lot of activity, a lot of attention, multiple offers. Where I'm at here in Southern California, our median home price for Orange County is about 1.2 million. And I'm putting offers in every single week for some clients in that 1 million to 1.2 range. And guess what? Multiple offer situations, people bidding up the asking price. It's a crazy, crazy environment. Whereas if you go into the luxury market, homes priced between 4 and 8 million, the market's a little slower there. There's still people selling homes quickly, multiple offers on some property, but not every single home is doing that. Whereas the lower price points, those are getting the activity and in turn getting higher prices, more competition, all the chaos that we've talked about. And with that said, the lack of inventory is just giving you less options to choose from, which is a huge con out there in the market. And one of those things that you have to be careful with by putting your home, on the market and selling without having some sort of plan in place if you're not able to find that property. So just make sure, again, you're looking at the market before you're doing these things so that you're not putting yourself in a bad position. And lastly, interest rates are considerably higher than what most homeowners have on their home. And those higher rates translate into higher monthly payments. So again, if you take my advice, if you're thinking of selling, having that conversation with a lender prior to going through that process, just to make sure you understand what that payment is, then you're going to put yourself in the best position. Now, if you're watching this video going, I don't have a lender, how do I start that conversation? I'll put a link in the description below where you can find a lender anywhere across the nation, somebody that I know, like, and trust that can guide you through that process, have a conversation, and help you figure out if selling and buying something else is the right move for you. The main reason we're in the current situation that we're in with a lack of inventory and a competitive housing market is because of the lack of sellers actually out there in the market. And that's largely due to affordability and largely due to the fact that there's no inventory out there. So if you're considering selling a home, just understand you still have the market in your favor, and that's likely to be the case until you start to see inventory increase, which I don't really see happening anytime soon. But like anything else, you have ebbs and flows in the market. So if you're considering selling your home, just make sure you're paying attention what's actually happening in your market so that you can not only maximize the time, but also maximize the price.